Welcome back to Afternoon Express live on SABC3. Now, we've learnt a thing or two about the economy and interest rates, etc. But how can we plan our year around all of this? Joining us is a certified financial planning professional at Old Mutual Wealth. She has gained extensive knowledge within the financial planning industry with more than 9 years of working with corporate and independent financial planners. She's here to advise us on how to plan for our individual financial needs in 2016. Welcome, Mai-Li Cannone. Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
So, what is the role of a financial advisor?
Well, the role of a financial advisor is basically just to help a client get a roadmap to reach his future dreams and aspirations. So we've been hearing a lot of negativity in the previous conversation, but it's not really negative. It's for us to understand our environment, to understand what we operate in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, each client is unique, and each client has their unique situation that we try and design a plan around.
Right. Most people just think if they make enough money or more than enough money, they'll be fine. But financial planning is actually very important.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I guess it also has something to do with clients being or having access to a wide to a lot of information these days. So they can research online and they can compare products and they can compare benefits. But there's a massive difference between understanding the product and then designing a strategy for your life. So financial planning is important to make sure that you achieve your future dreams and goals.
Right. Now, what does a healthy personal financial portfolio look like? What does that entail?
Again, it's different for individuals, but I would break it up into two different categories mostly. So the first one is make sure that you have products and investments in place to protect your current life as it is. And secondly, ensure that you are making provision for the growth of your future wealth.
Right.
So under the first category, we would look at things like emergency funding. We would look at income protection, disability cover, and rare disease. And the second category of providing for your future wealth would be retirement planning, for instance.
Right.
And then lastly, especially if you have dependents, it's very important to have a will in place, an active and an updated will, as well as death cover.
What about things like life insurance, a disability fund, an education fund for your kids, a savings plan? I mean, if I'm sitting with a financial advisor and they're telling me I need all these things, how do I pace myself? How do I know these are the ones I must have that are essential, and which ones can I just add on as time goes on?
Yes. So I would suggest that you prioritize short-term, medium-term, and then longer-term goals. So firstly, look after, like I said, the expenses or the products that protect your current life. So an emergency fund is essential. If you have an expense that pops up that you need to pay for, you need to have provided for that. So in that case, for instance, a retirement fund wouldn't help because you can't access the money.
Right.
So that's why your first priority would be an emergency fund.
Okay.
As well as income protection, because that is, for most clients, that is their most valuable asset, is their income, if they haven't built up any assets yet.
Right.
And then as you go along, you would, they are, all of these products are important, but they apply to different clients in different situations.
Now, can you attain this basic coverage even if you earn a smaller salary?
Yes, you definitely can. It again comes down to seeing a financial advisor and discussing your own situation and your own goals and your own, expenses
And
that
ability,
you have. Your own earning ability, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a personal financial plan will be developed for you, taking into account your lifestyle and your circumstances.
Okay. And with markets being so volatile, it's quite difficult to save, and it's people feel anxious, and that makes it even tougher to save. How do we approach this?
Yes.
Any savings tips that we should be taking into account?
Well, firstly, as much as we endeavour to understand the economics, and we really try, we do. We had Peter here explaining it to us. At the end of the day, we have no control over that. So we have to control what we can by ourselves. As far as savings tips goes, I think most South Africans know by now how to save on electricity and how to reduce
they?
They should, I think, and how to reduce fuel consumption. But one thing that I found for myself personally that works extremely well is to do online grocery shopping.
Is that better?
It is. It definitely is. So for a couple of reasons. It's definitely more efficient. It's time efficient.
Yes.
But for the savings aspect, what happens is you can filter prices from low to high.
Easier.
And yes, and so you can compare the same type of product according to price.
Wow.
And you know exactly what you're going to spend when you reach the checkout point. So it's not like you're getting a surprise at the till, which is what happens to us most of the time
right,
these days.
because you go in store, you end up picking up stuff that you actually didn't intend to pick up.
Yes. It also limits impulse buying.
Wow.
Correct.
So what guidelines do you have for people when setting up a personal budget?
Okay.
When budgeting their monthly salary?
So it's similar to what I mentioned for a financial portfolio. I think it's important to maintain the expenses that protect your current lifestyle. So maintain saving for an emergency fund. A good guideline there is at least 6 months worth of expenses.
Sure.
You should maintain your income protection policy, those types of expenses that protect your lifestyle in its current format. And then the second category is maintain expenses that help you build your life going forward and grow your assets going forward. So your retirement funding, and also savings for longer term goals, because or medium term goals, because it's not always just retirement. Maybe you have plans to travel every 5 years, or you know. So those 2 categories are very important. But then I feel very strongly about also enjoying your life. Life is about enjoyment.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so hard.
No, it doesn't. So once you've covered those 2 categories, I think feel free to spend your money on what makes your life, what makes you happy and what gives you fulfillment.
Right.
Don't feel worried or stressed about spending money once you have covered those 2 aspects.
Is it a good time to invest? I mean, things like buying property, or should we be a bit more conservative at this time and for time to come?
The answer is it's always a good time to invest. You should never not be invested. The guideline there would be you would just change your mix of assets depending on your time horizon that you have to be invested. So if you're in a shorter term investment, if it's your emergency fund, you will not necessarily expose it to equities.
Right.
But if it's a longer term need, like your retirement plan, then you will expose it to assets that have a higher potential of growing in future, like equities, like property, a good diversified mix.
Right.
And then the most important part is for clients who are already invested into equity markets and they do have a longer term time horizon goal, don't disinvest now. Stick to your strategy, remain invested.
Okay.
Just as you wouldn't sell your house when it's reached, when its value has declined or it's reached a low point in value, you also wouldn't sell out of assets that are going to give you future growth.
Okay, awesome. That's great advice. But you're not going anywhere. We're going to be chatting to you in a bit. So and if you'd like some further financial advice and inspiration, then now's your lucky chance. Today we're giving away a signed copy of a book called How Much Is Enough by Andrew Bradley, good question, which is all about balancing your time, money and happiness. Simply SMS the keyword books, your name and city to 3378. SMSs cost R1.50, T's and C's apply, and are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. We'll be right back. Don't go away. How you doing, YouTube fam? Thank you so much for watching, sharing and commenting. We love hearing from you, so be sure to keep up to date with all things Afternoon Express by clicking the subscribe button right here.